Hey, BC, it's Greeno. Want to do another update. Got some new stuff in. Found a Grail. And also, what's been spinning. Typical. So, let's go and get started. Be new stuff up front. And I guess what's been spinning kind of towards the back. A couple CDs real quick. Went ahead and grabbed this for the live show. It's Turbo. Judas Priest Turbo 30. It's 30th anniversary. Basically remastered the album and all that, but they added 2 extra CDs, which is a live show recorded in Kansas City, May 22nd, 1986. And it sounds fantastic. To be honest, I haven't even listened to the remastered CD, the remaster of Turbo itself. I just wanted it for the 2 bonus discs for that live show. It's too bad they didn't put the live show out on vinyl. Packaging looks kind of cool, but overall sucks. Like the CDs just kind of slide in here. I hate that. I don't know why they do that. But cover looks cool, how they kind of redid that. But man, yeah, they put the remastered album out on vinyl, but it doesn't include the live concert. It's like, come on, man. And actually, when you think about it, it's like a lot of these bands, not just Judas Priest, but all these old bands setting on all this, old material, especially the live stuff. Man, put them out, put them on vinyl. I mean, I would jump on that 2 record set on vinyl. Done real nice, cool cover. I mean, if nothing else, put it on the band site, sell it through the band site. I think, fans, collectors would be all over that. And again, not just Priest, but all the old 80s bands, 70s bands. Other CD is Thailand Storm, I think is how you pronounce it. And this is one of those Demon Doll Records releases, which specializes in, forgotten, rare, glam, hair, melodic, hard rock metal from the 80s. And you can kind of see them here. This, I think, about 89 to 91 or so, this band was active out of the New Jersey, New York kind of area. And sounds pretty good. I mean, they're not perfect. They're old recordings laying around, I'm sure. But they are, studio recordings and that kind of thing. They're not just, recorded on a boombox somewhere. Cool stuff. I like Demon Doll. If you dig the, the glammy stuff, the MTV sounded stuff, metal from the 80s. Yeah, they really dig deep and find all these crazy old forgotten bands, that put out a single or an EP or something, self-released, and then they'll add bonus stuff. All right, a couple 7-inch singles. This is a split with Deadheads, and I believe it's pronounced Void, V-O-J-D. It's called Play Rock and Roll. Now, and it's on High Roller. Basically, each band does a Motorhead cover. Deadheads do Motorhead, and Void, I hope that's how you pronounce that, does Built for Speed. Now, everybody, I hope, remembers the last year or two going crazy over Black Trip. Black Trip is no more. They've changed their name, and basically Void is Black Trip. Maybe a member or 2 different, but very cool. Both bands do a great job on here. The Void side is definitely the better of the 2. And then a new single from Screamer, Monte Carlo Nights. And there's a video up on YouTube for this. This is off their new album that is getting ready to come out or has just come out. Very cool band. It'll be their third album, I believe, or second full length, and maybe an EP. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But again, very cool. Excited to get the new album. Hope it shows up pretty soon at a distro here in the U.S. So, but check out the video, Monte Carlo Nights by Screamer. Okay, let's get into the records. Got a nice little stack here. We'll just start right off the top with a Grail. This has been on the want list for a while and just keeps moving up. This is an album I completely loved. It's my favorite album by this band, actually. But I could have got on Discogs, ordered it. It's pricey, but it's always overseas. I never see anybody in the U.S. offering it for sale, or whenever I look anyways. So I was like, well, hopefully it'll show up in the wild at some point. And this has been going on for, I don't know, last 4 or 5 years, especially. I've had the CD since it come out, but definitely wanted to get it on vinyl. It finally showed up in a local shop, and that's Nothing Face from Voivod. Awesome album. I don't know. This is just a classic album to me. If you've never heard this, definitely check it out. You know, Voivod started out, or French-Canadian, started out just playing this crazy, aggressive, raw metal up in Canada in the middle of nowhere, and just progressed with every album like leaps and bounds until they hit this album, and it was like they just perfected it on this album, I think. Everything else is cool, nothing against anything else, but this album just hands down, I think it's the best Voivod album. And again, it's an original on Mechanic. And it was definitely pricey, but, you know, and it's beautiful condition. The vinyl is like, yeah, probably near mint. And the cover is, you know, very nice, nothing major on it. But again, to walk into a local shop and be able to grab this, hell yeah, I was all over it. I actually saw it. The shop is on Facebook, and it popped up. I know the owner. He posted a picture of some stuff he got in, and I texted him immediately. He's like, dude, Voivod, hold it. And he texted back, no problem, man. I was just getting ready to call you. He knew, you know, call me when cool metal comes in. All right, next. Wow. These guys out of Copenhagen, if I remember right. Alien Force, Hell and High Water. And I'm thinking this is mid-80s. I can't remember. This is a 2008 reissue on ARG Records, Carthago ARG Records. I think Carthago put it out on CD, and ARG did the vinyl. But just cool, straight up kind of metal. And this popped up on a distro, you know. And the only thing I can guess is they took in a collection or something, and that happened to be in there. This and that Attack was both in there that I showed in the last video. Which, by the way, I think I said they were Canadian. Those guys are actually U.S. West Coast with a Japanese connection. I think the guitar player was Japanese. Talking about Attack, not Alien Force. Anyways. Alright, next. Reissue. Just another one of those rare 80s obscurities, you know. It's the EP from Glacier. And Cult Metal Classics reissued this. And hopefully you can see the label there. Probably not. Came with a nice, yeah, that's the record sleeve. Nice interviews and information. This was like, these guys were from Portland, and this was 84, 85 when this originally came out. And this is all they '85 is when it was originally released. And it's 5 tracks, pretty much an EP. And this is it. This is the only thing they released officially, I guess. But a very cool band. And again, it's just one of those obscurities that, you know, chances of running into are very slim in original pressing these days. So very cool to see a reissue. It's great, all these, you know, and most of the labels are overseas for the most part, but they're reissuing this kind of stuff. Next, old album, and actually I pulled this out because of the next album, which I'll show, which is Sad Iron, Total Damnation. These guys were German, no, Holland. Just more straight up metal. I like the back of this, kind of cool. And this was basically their only full length, if I remember correctly. And I'm thinking this was like, again, around 83, 4, 5. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But I pulled that out to spin because I picked this up. It's a reissue, I guess you could say, but it's the first time, I guess, on vinyl, which is Sad Iron's The Antichrist. And this was an unreleased album the band recorded, and it basically, you know, it didn't get released back in the day. So, and this is on Dutch Steel. And I believe this is the first, let's see the number. Yeah, 001. So this is the first release on Dutch Steel, it looks like. Came out, I believe, last year. It's on black vinyl. And very cool, just as good as that the first one. So it's kind of cool to come across that. Next, this came out last year, I believe. So far they've put out an EP and then this full length, which is Master of Evil. And that's Denner and Sherman. And which is, of course, the 2 guitar players from Merciful Fate. It's on Metal Blade. Very nice pressing. Actually a cool cover. Very Merciful Fate looking kind of a cover. I have to say, I have the EP also. And I didn't like the EP. But I grabbed this just, you know, thinking, well, you know, let's see what the full length is like. And I don't like this either. I don't like the production on it. It just sounds modern. It's not Merciful Fate sounding to me, and that's not saying they have to sound like Merciful Fate, but they don't sound like 2 killer old school metal guitar players. It just sounds like everything else. It's kind of a letdown, man. Again, yeah, I picked up the EP, was kind of excited about it. I was like, oh man. And picked this up thinking, well, I'll give it one more shot, and that killed it, so kind of done. Don't really, won't be picking up anything else from that project, sadly. Next, another High Roller release, and this has been out for a while, but I've had it for a while and finally got around to getting through all of it. It's a 2 LP set called Genghis Khan Killers, and basically this is Tokyo Blade. Before they were Tokyo Blade, they were called Killers, and then Genghis Khan. These are all the releases, demos. There was a single or 2 kind of in there between the 2 bands. 2 LP set, a lot of information, a lot of music, and very cool. Just, yeah, new wave of British heavy metal. This is really worth checking out if you dig new wave of British heavy metal. If you dig Tokyo Blade, you know, definitely you want to grab that. Next, a reissue on Metal Blade with the original cover. Fate's Warning, Night on Brocken. These guys were where, Connecticut, somewhere up in New England. But it was kind of cool. They put it out with the original cover. Sounds great. import. I think this was yeah, Germany, and they did what, the first 3 albums, I believe. Reissued them, so I was happy to grab that. Next, kind of a surprise. I kind of wasn't expecting much from this band, and found this for a really good deal, and kind of gave it a shot. Went ahead and grabbed it, and it's actually been sitting around for a few months. Was reading a magazine. There was an article about the band in there, so I pulled it out finally and spun it, and really ended up digging this. Witch Hazel Prelude, and this is on Bad Omen. And I think these guys are from England. It's very, it's kind of hard rock, new wave of British heavy metal with like a folk kind of mix in there in places. Very cool. If you dig that Flight album that also came out on Bad Omen, give this a shot. You may dig this also. The Flight album is way better. That album is like, I think that's a future classic, kind of. That's a very good album. But this album's worth checking out. This band's worth checking out. Definitely kind of doing their own thing as far as I know. I've never heard a lot of other bands sounding like this, or none really come to mind. It's not like a full-on metal thing. It's definitely like that hard rock, new wave British heavy metal feel with a little bit of folkiness to it. It's an interesting album, to say the least. Everything else is like stuff I pulled to spin and stuff that's come out of the Just In piles that have been there for years, probably. Which actually this one has been there for a while. I found this on vacation years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, down in Myrtle Beach. Had a hell of a score down there. The week we got down there, somebody had traded in at 2 different stores a huge metal collection. And at that time, you know, stuff was like $10-12. And I've shown, you know, I even did a video just pulling the stuff out of that box. You can go way back, like 4 or 5 years ago. But the one store got there Monday morning as soon as they opened, and they have a 25% off sale on Tuesdays every week. So I had to wait 24 hours, you know, to get that 25% off, and actually everything was still there the next day. It's got really lucky, but I come home with a stack of records probably like that. It was crazy. Anyways, this was in there, and the price tag was still on the old bag. I replaced the bag, but this was $12, 25% off, so whatever, somewhere around 10. Odin, The Gods Must Be Crazy. And man, this is a weird little release. It's pretty much an EP. I think there's 7 tracks. And if you look online, different places have different years on it. I think it was 87, but I've seen 88, 90, I think 91 for this, but I'm pretty sure it was 87. And it looks like it's independently released. This thing is like perfect, other than right at the very top. Looks like it got wet at some point, and there's a little bit of mold or something that grown on it. I've cleaned it off as best I could. But the vinyl looks like it had never been played. And sounds great. Still has the insert, you know, with the lyrics and everything. And Odin is, of course, the band from Decline of Western Civilization, Part 2, The Metal Years. Yeah. They had a big part in that documentary. But that was a cool score. I pulled this out because Mr. Arvidsson, I think that's your YouTube name, was showing a bunch of German metal. And I remembered I had this in the Just In pile. I hadn't spun it yet. And it's Arrow, Master of Evil. And it's pretty early. It's 85, mid-80s. Again, another EP. It's not bad. It has its moments. It's not great either. But I need to spin it some more. a couple more times before I put it away. But it's pretty cool. I like the design on the back. Definitely has that 80s metal kind of look going for it. Which, by the way, if you haven't checked out, I'm pretty sure it's Mr. Arvidsson. If you're watching, excuse me, if you're watching my channel, you probably watched his for metal. He shows some killer metal, man. Very cool channel. Next, just pulled this out for the hell of it. I got kind of in a hair metal mood. And pretty much in the 80s, this was hair metal. Kiss Animalize. Original press from back in the day. Yeehaw. But it's a fun album, man. It's, you know, for what it is, it's a good listen. This is what, 84, I believe. Saw them, the next album, I guess it was Asylum, I think was the album after that. Saw them on that tour. Pulled this out, Lizzie Borden, Give 'Em the Axe. A classic EP on Metal Blade. Lizzie Borden, man, it's just kind of, it's sad that they're kind of overlooked. I think they get respect, but not enough, man. You know, they were a great band, I think. I love this band. Yeah, even the double live, Murderous Metal Roadshow Live, or whatever it was, that's amazing, man. And actually, that was put out on DVD, which I think is out of print now and going for crazy money. I was lucky enough to grab one of those back when they first come out, thankfully. But if you've never checked out Lizzie Borden, man, you're missing out if you dig 80s metal. Just kind of pulled this. It had been forever since I've listened to this. It's the first Loudness, the Birthday Eve. This is 81. Basically, three of the dudes from a band called Lazy leave that band and start Loudness because they want to play heavier music. And pretty much they did it. They were the biggest Japanese metal band. I mean, they've made an impact in America with Thunder in the East. But this is a cool album. This is better than I remembered it. There's early albums. You know, I dig Loudness, but you know, Thunder in the East, man, that's the album, of course. But occasionally I'll go back and revisit the early ones. I don't know them as well. But each time I spin one of the earlier ones, it gets better, you know, each time. So. And got a little cheesy, pulled out some Manowar, Fighting for the World. What was this, 87. And this is the one, was it Blow Your Speakers? Yeah. I remember the video on MTV and all that, just totally over the top. These guys were great, are great. I wasn't a huge fan in the 80s. I kind of got it. It was like, all right, you know, that's cool, whatever. But by 87, especially this time, you know, totally into the more thrash stuff. But it's one of those bands I kind of came back around to and definitely dig now. Yeah. And then today I got into a Motorhead mood with spinning these this morning. Motorhead Overkill. Yeah, don't need to say much about Motorhead. And this is Blue Mercury. I didn't even look. I can't remember if this is it's like it's Canadian pressing, I guess. I don't know. I didn't even really check, to tell you the truth. And one of my favorites, Iron Fist. And the label. And then kind of a weird comp, I guess, which is Beer Drinkers. But this is a full length. This has the Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers EP on it, plus stuff, you know, from like On Parole and all that earlier tracks. And this is on Milan. Can't remember what the back looks like. It's a good listen. I love that cover, the front cover. But that's it. It's pretty much all metal, huh? Definitely got some other stuff to show that has been spun, but it wasn't hard rock or metal, so I didn't throw it in here. That's it. Try and keep this short as possible. So, picked up some new subscribers. Thanks to all the new guys, all the old guys, everybody that comments, everybody that watches. Yeah, thanks a lot. And I hope everybody in the BC is doing well and enjoying the weekend. Later.